Hi everyone, this is Dr. Rajkumar Banot. Uh, Today, in this session, we are going to discuss about the cybersecurity, uh, a world of experts and criminals. So, to begin this course, as many of the world's original hackers were computer hobbyists and programmers and students during the 60s. So originally, the term hacker described individuals with advanced programming skills, and hackers used these programming skills to test the limits and capability of early systems. These early hackers were also involved in the development of the early computer games, and many of these games include wizards and wizardry. So let us get into the course. The basic objective of this one is we'll try to discuss the cyber security world that describes the common characteristics comprising the cyber security world and the cyber criminals versus the cyber security specialists. And another one is the common threats and spreading cybersecurity threats and creating more experts. So these are few important topics that we'll try to discuss in this particular chapter. So in the cybersecurity world, the cybersecurity domain, as we said just now, as the hacking culture evolved, it incorporated the lexicon of these games into the culture itself. So even the outside world began to project the image of powerful wizards upon this misunderstood hacking culture. So some books such as Where Wizards Stay Up Late and the origin of the internet, published in 1996, added to the mystique of the hacking culture. The image and lexicon stuck. So many hacking groups today embrace this imagery, and one of the most infamous hacker group goes by the name Legion of Doom. So it is important to understand the cyber culture in order to understand the criminals of the cyber world and their motivations. So, in this chapter, we are going to discuss the role of cyber criminals and their motivations, and finally, the chapter explains how to become a cybersecurity specialist. So, these cybersecurity specialists help defeat the cyber criminals that threaten the cyber world. So, in the overview of this cybersecurity domain, as we said, so there are many data groups that make up the different domains of the cyber world. So, when groups are able to collect and utilize massive amount of data, they begin to amass power and influences. So this data can be in the form of numbers, pictures, video, audio, or any type of data that can be digitized. So these groups could become so powerful that they operate as though they are separate powers and creating separate cybersecurity domains. So, companies such as Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn could be considered to be data domains in our cyber world. So, extending the analogy future further, the people who work at these digital companies could be considered cybersecurity experts. So, the word domain has many meanings. So, wherever there is control, authority, or protection, you might consider that area to be a domain. So think of how a wild animal will protect its own declared domain. So in this chapter, or in this course, Principle of Cybersecurity, just consider a domain to be an area to be protected. Domain to be an area to be protected. So it may be limited by a logical or physical boundary. So this will depend on the size of the system involved. In many respects, cybersecurity experts are how to protect their domains according to the laws of their own country and organizations. So some of the, if you talk about the examples of cybersecurity domains, the experts at Google create one of the first and most powerful domains within the broader cyber world of the internet. So billions of people use Google to search the web every day, right? So Google has arguably created the world's largest data collection infrastructure. So Google developed the Android, the operating system installed on over 80% of all mobile devices connected to the internet. So each device requires users to create a Google account that can save bookmarks and account information and store search results and even locate the device. So the another the website is, so in this websites which collect the powerful data, as said, there is a great business have been created by collecting and the harnessing the power of data and data analysis. So as we just discussed about this, so in domains means the business large and small have recognized the power of the big data and data analysis. So, as stated, like Google and LinkedIn, Amazon, they provide the important services and opportunity. So, the growth in data collection and analysis that poses the great risk to individuals and modern life if precautions are not taken to protect the sensitive data from criminals or the others who have the intent to the harm one. So in this, if you see, the Facebook is another powerful domain or the website. So within the broader internet, so the experts at Facebook recognize that the people create personal accounts every day to communicate with family and friends. So in doing so, you are volunteering a great deal of your personal data. So these Facebook experts built a massive data domain to enable people to connect in ways that were unimaginable in the past. So similarly, if you talk about this LinkedIn is yet another data domain on the internet. So the experts at LinkedIn recognize that their members would share information in the in pursuit of building a professional network, right? So we look inside these domain reveals how they are constructed. So at a fundamental level, these domains are the strong because of the ability to collect user data contributed by the users themselves. So this data often includes users background, discussions like locations, their likes and dislikes, travel, interests, friends and family members, professional hobbies, and work and personal schedules. So, experts create great value for organizations interested in using these data to better understand and communicate with their customers and employees. So, in this, in the cybersecurity domains, how the what you call I mean the data, the growth of the cyber domains, if you talk, then the data collected within the internet is considerably more than just the data that the user contributed voluntarily. So cyber domains continue to grow as science and technology evolve. So enabling the experts and their employers like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., to collect many other forms of data. So cyber experts now have the technology to track worldwide weather trends, monitor the oceans, as well as the movement and behavior of people, animals, and objects in real system. So the new technologies such as the Geospatial Information System, we call GIS, and the Internet of Things, or Internet of everything, have emerged. So these new technologies can track the health of trees in a neighborhood. So they have provide up-to-date locations of vehicles, devices, individuals, and materials. So this type of information can save energy, improve efficiencies, and reduce safety risk. So each of these technologies will also result in exponentially expanding the amount of data collected, analyzed, and used to understand the world. The data collected by this GIS and Internet of Everything poses a tremendous challenge for cybersecurity professionals in the future. So, the type of data generated by these devices has the potential to enable cyber criminals to gain access to very intimate aspects of daily life. So then we talk that who are the cyber criminals. So, in the early years of the cybersecurity world, the typical cyber criminals were teenagers or the hobbyists operating from a home personal computer, with attacks mostly limited to pranks and the vandalism. But today, the world of cyber criminals has become more dangerous. So, attackers are individuals or groups who attempt to exploit vulnerabilities for personal or financial gain. So, cyber criminals are interested in everything from credit cards to product designs and anything with value. So, in this, you can see this the amateurs are one of that. So the amateurs are the script kiddies, have a little or no skill, often using existing tools or instructions found on the internet to launch attacks. Some are just curious, while others try to demonstrate their skills and cause harm. They may be using basic tools, but the result can still be devastating. So another type of your attackers are your the hackers. So this group of criminals, the hackers, is this group of criminals that breaks into computers or networks to gain access for various reasons. So the intent of the break-in determines the classification of these attackers as white hat attackers, or your gray or the black hats. So white hat attackers break into the networks or computer systems to discover weaknesses in order to improve the security of these systems. So the owners of these systems give permission to perform the break in, and they receive the results of the test. So on the other hand, we say that the gray hat the hackers, This gray hat attackers or hackers are somewhere between white and your black hat attackers. So the gray hat attackers may find a vulnerability and report it to the owners of the system if that action coincides with their agenda. So some gray hat attackers publish the facts about the vulnerability on the internet so that other attackers can exploit it. And the third part of your attackers are your the black hat attackers. So in this black hat, attackers, it is unlike your white hat attackers. The black hat attackers take advantage of any vulnerability for illegal, personal, financial, or political gain or the political gains. So these black hat attackers are the unethical criminals who violate computer and network security for their personal gain and for the malicious reasons. So how these attackers are organized? That means these criminals, the black hat, white hat, or your, the gray hat. So the cyber criminals or these criminals includes the organizations of cyber criminals, activists, terrorists, and state-sponsored hackers. So, cyber criminals are usually groups of professional criminals focused on control, power, and wealth. So, the criminals are highly sophisticated and organized and may even provide cybercrime as a service. Right? So the activists that make political statements to create awareness to issues that are important to them. So these are a few of the activists, as we are saying. So these activists publicly publish the embarrassing information about their victims. So, state sponsored attackers gather intelligence or the commit sabotage on behalf of their government. So, these attackers are usually highly trained and well found. So, their attacks focus on specific goals that are beneficial to their government. So, some state sponsored attackers are even members of their the nations or armed forces. So, as said, the script kiddies, they are just these are the teenagers, whereas the vulnerability brokers are your the gray hat hackers, as we said. So, who attempt to discover the exploits and report them to their vendors, or sometimes for the prize or reward purpose. So, as we described these cyber criminals and state-sponsored hackers, they work for their government, and when it comes to the cyber securities, the specialist. Uh, just see this. When it comes to the cyber security, specialists. So that the thwarting the cyber criminals is a difficult task. A company or government and the international organization so have begun to take the coordinated action to limit or fend off the cyber criminals. So that means what is the motivation for the cyber criminals means the cyber criminal profiles and the motives have changed over the years. So hacking started in the year 60s, as said. So with phone phreaking, which refers to using various audio frequencies to manipulate phone systems. So in the mid 80s, criminals used computer dial-up modems to connect computers to networks and used password cracking programs to gain access to data. So nowadays, criminals are going beyond just stealing information. So criminals can now use malware and viruses as, I mean, the what you call the high-tech weapons. So, however, the greatest motivation for most cyber criminals is financial only. So, the cyber criminal or crimes has become the more lucrative than the illegal drug trades. So, the when to why to become this cyber security the specialist in this case means the demand for the cybersecurity specialist has grown more than the demand for other IT jobs. So all of the technology that transforms the kingdom and improves people's way of life also makes it more vulnerable to attacks. So technology alone cannot prevent, detect, respond, and recover from cybersecurity incidents. So just consider, some of the cases like, the skill level required for effective cybersecurity specialist and the shortage of qualified cybersecurity professionals that translates to higher earning potentials. So to becoming a cybersecurity specialist is a rewarding career opportunity. So there are, the high earning potentials why to become a cybersecurity specialist means, and challenging career, high, the portable career, and service to the public one. So as we said that, these, I mean, the threatening these cyber criminals, as said, just a cyber criminals is a difficult task, and there is no such things as the silver bullet, right? So companies, however, some companies, governments, and the international organization, they have begun to take coordinated actions to limit or fend off the cyber criminals. So the coordinated actions that includes creating the comprehensive database of known system vulnerabilities and attack signatures. So in vulnerability database, the national common the, the national common vulnerability and the exposure we call CVE database is a national database. So this common vulnerabilities and exposure national database was developed to provide a publicly available database of all known vulnerabilities. So here the link is given to for this CVE database details. So the coordinated action among the groups and the governments or the organizations, first they need to creating the comprehensive database of known system vulnerabilities and attack signatures. That is a unique arrangement of information which is used to identify an attacker's attempt to exploit a known vulnerability. And the organization share these database worldwide to help prepare for and fend off many common attacks. So, by the second one is the establishing early warning sensors and alert networks. So, due to cost and the impossibility of monitoring every network, organizations monitor high value targets or create imposters that look like a high value targets, because these high value targets are more likely to experience attacks. They warn others of potential attacks. So sharing cyber intelligence information, the business, government agencies, and countries now collaborate to share the critical information about the serious attack to critical targets in order to prevent similar attacks in other places. So many countries have established cyber intelligence agencies to collaborate worldwide in combating major cyber attacks. And then establishing the information security management standards among national and international organizations. So the ISO 27000 is a good example of these international efforts. So, enriching new laws to discourage cyber attacks and the data breaches, these laws have several penalties to punish the cyber criminals caught the carrying out the illegal actions. So, this early warning system is one of the international sharing process one. Okay, so these are the few websites which are used by these organizations to share the cyber criminals attacks. So what are the different tools for thwarting these cyber criminals means? As we said, the first one is, they use these ISM standards like ISO 27000 standards. These are the best example for information security management standards, right? So the tools for this thwarting cyber criminal, you can see what are the new laws are there. So in this new laws, the ISACA group that this track laws the enacted related to the cyber security. So these laws can address individual privacy to protection of your intellectual property. So here, some of the examples are given is the that include the Cybersecurity Act, Federal Exchange, and your Data Breach, the Nation Act, and the Data Accountability. So then, if you see the vulnerability database, the second one is the vulnerability, the databases. As we said, that the National Common Vulnerability and Exposure Database is an example of the development of your nation, the national database. And then, we have seen that the early warning system. In this early warning system, the honeynet project is an example of creating the early warning systems. So the non-profit project investigates the latest attack and develops open source security tools. That is the honeynet.org. You can go through this link. And then you are having this shared cyber intelligence, which we have just discussed, and this ISO ISM standards. So let me just see some of the this is something about cybersecurity criminals versus the cybersecurity, the specialist, how it works. So now let us see some of the common threats or the threat arena, that the common threats to the end users. What are those? So as previously described, there are experts who are innovators and the visionaries. So they built the different cyber domains of the internet. So they have the capacity to recognize the power of data and the harness it. Okay, so then they build their organizations and provide services as well as protecting people from cyber attacks. So ideally, cybersecurity professionals should recognize the threat that data poses if it is used against people. So the threat and vulnerabilities are the main concern of cybersecurity professionals. So two situations are especially critical in this case. That is, uh, when a threat is the possibility that a harmful event such as an attack will occur, and when a vulnerability makes a target susceptible to an attack. So this is the cybersecurity threat is the possibility that a harmful event such as an attack will occur, as we just discussed about this, right? And for example, suppose data in the wrong hands can result in a loss of privacy for the owners. So can that can affect their credit or their personal relationships. So identity theft to big business can also happen, right? So however, it is not necessarily the Googles and Facebooks that poses the greatest risk. Like schools, hospitals, financial institutions, government agencies, the workplace, and e-commerce poses even greater risk. So organizations like Google and Facebook have the resources to have top cybersecurity talent to protect their domains. But as more organizations build large database containing all of our personal data, the need for cybersecurity professionals increases. So this leaves smaller business and organizations competing for the remaining pool of cybersecurity professionals. The- these cyber threats are particularly dangerous to certain industries and the records they must contain. So these cyber threats are more dangerous to certain industries, as said, and type of information they collect and protect, right? So we'll try to see the type of your personal records. So in this type of your personal record, you can see this: the medical data, medical records. So here, your data. These are some of the examples, are just few sources of your data that can come from the established organizations. So one is your the medical data, or medical records. So the going to the doctor's office results in the addition of more information to an electronic health record, EHR, we used to say, right? So the prescription from a family doctor becomes part of the electronic health record. So an electronic health record includes your physical health, mental health, and other personal information that may not be medically related. For example, like an individual goes to counseling as a child because of major changes in the family. So this will be somewhere in his or her medical records. So besides the medical history and your personal information, the electronic health record may also include the information about that person's family, or several laws, addresses protecting the patient records. So this is the medical record part. And second one is your you talk about sorry, in this medical record, the medical devices such as your fitness brands that uses the cloud platform to enable your wireless transfer, storage, and display of your of clinical data like heart rate, blood pressure, and blood sugars. So these devices can generate an enormous amount of clinical data that can become part of a medical record. And second one is your education record. You talk about your the education record. So in this education record, uh, The education records that includes your information about grades, test scores, attendance, courses taken, awards, degrees awarded, and disciplinary reports. So this record may also include your contact information, health and immunization records, and your special education records, including the individualized education programs. So another kind of your personal information, that your employment and your financial records. So what will be there in employment and financial records? The employment information can include the past employment and performance, and employment records can also include salary and insurance information. Whereas your financial records may include information about income and the expenditure, and your tax records, that could include the paycheck stubs, credit card statements, credit rating, and banking information, right? So, these are some of the information, or you may find some online information. So, these are, some of the major areas where your data can be found. So, in this, what are the threats to this internet services? Means there are many essential technical services needed for a network and ultimately the internet to operate, right? So these services includes your routing, or addressing, domain naming, and database management. So these services also serve as your prime target for your cyber criminals. So these are threats to the internet services. So criminals use packet sniffing tools to capture data streams over a internet or over a network. So this means that all sensitive data like usernames, passwords, and credit card numbers are at risk. So packet sniffers work by monitoring and recording all information coming across a network. So criminals can also use rogue devices such as unsecured Wi-Fi access points. So if the criminals sets this up near a public place such as a coffee shop or unsuspecting individuals may sign on, and the packet sniffers copies their personal information. So this the network services like domain name systems, HTTP, and any online. So the database are prime target for these cyber criminals. So this domain name system services are DNS, we call domain name service, that translates a domain name such as like your www.facebook.com into its numerical IP addresses like 192.168.16.5, like that. So as just explained this, I mean, the if a domain name service that serve does not know the IP address, suppose, then it will ask another DNS server. So with the DNS spoofing or DNS cache poisoning, the criminals introduce false data into a domain name service resolver cache, and these poison attacks exploit a weakness in the domain name service software that cause the DNS servers to redirect traffic for a specific domain to the criminal's computer instead of the legitimate owner of the domain. So then these packets transport data across a network or the internet, correct? So this packet forgery, or we can say that the packet injection, that interferes with an established network communication by constructing packets to appear as if they are part of a communication. So the packet forgery allows a criminal to disrupt or intercept packets. So this process enables the criminal to hijack an authorized connection or denies an individual's ability to use certain network services. So cyber professionals call this as a man in the middle attack. It's called it as a man in the middle attack. So an example given only scratch the surface of the types of threats the criminals can launch against the internet and network devices. So the threats to some of the key industries. So as we said, uh, the key industry sectors are some threats to these key industry sectors. So in the key industry sectors offer networking infrastructure systems such as manufacturing, or your energy, communication, and your transportation. So for example, the smart grid is an enhancement to the electrical generation and distribution system. So the electrical grid carries power from central generator to a large number of customers. So a smart grid uses the information to create an automated advanced energy delivery network. So the world leaders recognize that protecting their infrastructure is critical to protecting their economy. So over the last decades, cyber attacks like Stuxnet, STUXnet, that proved that a cyber attack could successfully destroy or interrupt critical infrastructures. So specifically, the Stuxnet attack targeted the supervisory control and data acquisition that we call SCADA system. This, the supervisory control and data acquisition system, which is used to control and monitor industrial processes. So this SCADA can be part of various industrial processes in manufacturing, production, uh, like energy and communication systems. So, in the cyber attack could bring down or interrupt the industry sectors like telecommunication, transportation, or electrical power generation or distribution systems. So, in this, as we just explained, uh, so, in this, the cyber attack, no, it could also interrupt the financial services sectors. Or one of the problem with the environmental that incorporate the SCADA is the fact that designers did not connect SCADA to the traditional IT environment and the internet. So, therefore, they did not properly consider cybersecurity during the development phase of these systems. So, like other industries, organizations using SCADA systems recognize the value of data collection to improve operations and decrease cost. The resulting trend is to connect SCADA systems to traditional IT systems. So, however, this increased the vulnerability of industries using the SCADA system. So, the advanced threat, potentials that exist today that demands a special breed of cybersecurity, the experts. So, in this, you can see I mean the threats to the people's way of life will also be there. So in this, you can find in the communication, you feel that there is a phone and email are massive. the messaging which are used for the communication. So there is a threat for this communication there also. And for the transportation, like air travel or railway or over the road, for this transportation, there we will have some personal data that will be also some of the common threats about this one. So now the some of the threats to the people's way of life. So that is the cybersecurity is the ongoing effort to protect networked systems and data from unauthorized access. So on a personal level, everyone needs to safeguard his or her identity, uh, data, and computing devices, right? So at the corporate level, it is the employee's responsibility to protect the organization's reputation, data, and the customers. So at the state level, national security and the citizens' safety and well-being are at the stake. So these cybersecurity professionals are often involved in working with government agencies, including some of the government agencies in identifying and collecting the data. So in the US, the National Security Agency, we say NSA, is responsible for intelligence collection and surveillance activities. So the NSA built a new data center just to process the growing volume of information. So in 2015, the US Congress passed the USA Freedom Act, ending the practice of collecting US citizens' phone records in bulk. So the program provided the metadata that gave the NSA information about communications sent and received. So the efforts to protect the people's way of life often conflicts with their right to privacy. So it will be interesting to see what happens to the balance between these rights and the safety of your internet users, right? So what are the different threats? Then there are two types of threats that we find: the internal threats and the external threats. So how these threats spread means, as we said, the internal security threats and the external security threats. So in the internal security threat, the attacks can originate from within an organization or from outside of the organization. So as shown in this say, uh, an internal user such as your employee, uh, or the contract partner can accidentally or the intentionally the mishandle confidential data and threaten the operations of internal servers or network infrastructure devices. Or the an internal user can the facilitate outside attacks by connecting interface USB infected USB media into the corporate computer system, or accidentally invite malware onto the network through the malicious email or the websites. So internal threats have the potential to cause the greater damage than the external threats, because internal users have direct access to the building and its infrastructure devices. So internal attackers typically have knowledge of the corporate network, its resources, and its confidential data. So they may also have knowledge of security countermeasures, policies, and the higher levels of administrative privileges. Right. So then comes to your the external security threats. So in the external security threats, they come from the amateur or your skilled attackers that can exploit vulnerabilities in the network devices. And these external security threats can use this social engineering, such as the trickery or to gain access. So these external security threats or external attacks exploit weaknesses or vulnerabilities to gain access to the internal sources. So in this, the external threat, that the outsiders, you may find some of the data, like your the traditional data, that is the corporate data includes the personal information, intellectual property, and financial data. So the personal information, includes the application materials, payroll, offer letters, employee agreements, and any information used in making employment decision. So intellectual property, such as your patents, trademarks, and the new product plans, allows a business to gain economically the advantage over its competitors. So consider this intellectual property as a trade secret that losing this information can be disastrous for the future of the company. So the financial data, such as income statements, balance sheets, and your cash flow statements, gives insights into the health of your company. So these are, as overall, if we say that the cyber criminals, they broadly categorized into two parts, like the outsiders and insiders. So our internal security threats or external security threats. So insiders means your employees and ex-employees, and then the contract staff or trusted partners. But whereas your outsiders means the organized attackers, like activists, terrorists, state sponsored, or the hackers means your black hats, gray hats, white hats, and the amateurs. These are the outsiders, right? So then comes to the vulnerabilities of your mobile, the devices. So in the past, employee typically used company issued computers connected to a corporate LAN. But administrators continuously monitor and update these computers to meet security requirements. But today, mobile devices such as iPhones, smartphones, tablets, and thousands of other devices are becoming the powerful substitutes for, or the additions to, the traditional program personal computers. So more and more people are using these devices to access the enterprise information. So that, sometimes we call that the bring your own devices. So the inability to centrally manage and update these mobile devices, that poses a growing threat to organizations that allow employee mobile device on their networks. So we'll see the emergence internet of your things. So here, the internet of things is the collection of technologies that enable the connection of various devices to the internet. The technical evaluation, the technical evolution which is associated with the advent of the IoT is changing commercial and the consumer environments. So these IoT technologies enable people to connect billions of devices to the internet So these devices that includes like some of the appliances, locks, motors, and your entertainment devices, to name just a few. So this technology affects the amount of data that needs protection. So users access these devices remotely, which increase the number of network required protections. Right. So the with the emergence of the IoT, there is much more data to be managed and secured. So all of these connections plus the expanded storage capacity and storage services offered through the cloud and virtualization has led to the exponential growth of your data. So this data expansion created a new area of interest in technology and business called your big data. We call this as your big data. So what is the then we'll see what is the impact of this big data then. As you see here, so big data is the result of your data set, that are the large and complex, making traditional data processing applications that inadequate. So here, this big data have three dimensions, based on three dimensions. One is volume or amount of your data, or velocity or speed of your data, and the variety or range of data types and the resources. So here, one example is given. You can check it out. So in this, the in the big corporate hacks in the news, that is there are as a result, the enterprise systems require the dramatic changes in security product designs and substantial upgrades to the technologies and practice. So we'll see what are the threat complexities. That is, I mean, the advanced weapons is one of the threat complexity. That is, uh, the software vulnerabilities today rely on programming mistakes, protocol vulnerabilities, or the system misconfiguration, right? So the cyber criminals merely has to exploit one of these, either programming mistakes or protocol vulnerabilities or system misconfiguration. So, for example, a common attack involved constructing an input to a program in order to sabotage the program and making it malfunction. So, this malfunction provided a doorway into the program or caused it to leak the information. So there is a growing sophisticated scene in cyber attacks today. So an advanced persistent threat, APT, is a continuous computer hack that occurs under the radar against a specific object. So the criminals usually choose an APT for business or political motives. So, and APT occurs over a long period with a high degree of the secrecy using the sophisticated malware. So, some of the algorithm, attacks, that track the system self-reporting data, like how much energy a computer is using. And these algorithmic attacks are more devious because they exploit designs which are used to improve energy savings and decrease system failure and improve the efficiency. So finally, the new generation of attacks involves the intelligent selection of victims. So in the past, attacks would select the low harming fruit or most vulnerable victims, but with greater attention to detection and isolation of cyber attacks, cyber criminals must be more careful. So they cannot risk early detections, or the cybersecurity specialist will close the gates of the castle. So as a result, many of the more sophisticated attacks will only launch if the attackers can match the object signature targeted. So these are some of the information about the advanced weapons. Then another threat complexity is your border scope and the cascade effect. So the federated identity management refers to multiple enterprises that let their users use the same identification credentials, gaining access to the networks of all enterprises in the group. So this broadens the scope and increase the ability of a cascading effect should an attack occurs. So, in this federated identity that links a subject's electronic identity across separated identity management system. So, for example, a subject may be able to log on to Yahoo's or Gmail or you know like any other LinkedIn with the Google or Facebook credentials. So, this is an example of your social login. So the goal of federated identity, uh, uh, I mean, the federated identity management is to share the identity information automatically across the castle boundaries. So, from the individual user's perspective, this means a single sign on to the web. But it is imperative that organizations scrutinize the identifying information shared with the partners. So, social security numbers like name like the social security numbers or names and addresses may allow the identity thieves the opportunity to steal this information from a partner to perpetrate fraud. So the most common way to protect a federated identity is to tie login ability to an authorized devices, right? So the next one is the threat complexity is your safety implications. So emergency call centers in the United States are vulnerable to cyber attacks that could shut down 911 networks. This. So a telephone denial of service we call TDOS attack uses the phone calls against a target telephone network and tying up the system and preventing the legitimate calls from getting through. So next generation 911 call centers are vulnerable because they use voice over internet protocol or VoIP systems rather than the traditional, the landlines. So in addition to this, the telephone denial of service attack, these call centers can also be at risk of distributed denial of services. So the attacks that use many systems to flood the resources of the target, that making the target unavailable to legitimate users. So there are many ways nowadays to request 911 help, from using an app on a smartphone to using a home security system. And the next, the threat complexity is, or the spreading cybersecurity threats is your heightened recognized of recognition of your cybersecurity threats. So the defenses against cyber attacks at the start of the cyber era were low. So a smart high school student or script kiddies could gain access to the system. So the countries across the world have become more aware of the threat of cyber attack. So the threat posed by cyber attack now head the list of greatest threats to national and electronic security in most countries. So that the another one is the addressing the shortage of your cybersecurity specialists. So in the US nation, the National Institute of your Standards and Technologies (NIST) created a framework for companies and organizations in need of cybersecurity professionals. So the framework enables the companies to identify the major type of responsibilities, job titles, and workforce skills needed. So the National Cybersecurity Workforce Framework categorizes and describes the cybersecurity world. So it provides a common language that defines cybersecurity work along with a common set of tasks and skills required to become a cybersecurity specialist. So the framework helps to define the professional requirements in the cybersecurity part. So then the National Cybersecurity Workforce Framework. So we say that the workforce framework categorizes the cybersecurity work into the seven categories. Into seven categories. First is I know the operate and the maintain category. First one is the operate and the maintain category. So this operate and maintain category, in this the specialty areas that responsible for providing support uh, and administration and maintenance necessary to ensure the effective and efficient information technology system, that system performance and the security. Second one is you find the protect and data define. So in this protect and data define cybersecurity framework, this is a specialty area which is responsible for identification, analysis, and mitigation of threats to internal information technology systems or your networks. Third one is investigate. So in the investigate, this is another the specialty areas which is responsible for investigation of cyber events and are criminal. I mean the crimes of your information technology systems, networks, and your digital evidences. Fourth one is collect and operate the data. So in this area, this specialty areas responsible for the specialized denial and deception operations and collection of cybersecurity information that may be used to develop intelligent systems. And the next one is analyze one. So in this, the analyze one, you can see here the fourth one. So here, so this is the workforce framework. Okay, in the analyze phase or analyze specialty area is responsible for highly specialized review and evaluation of incoming cybersecurity information to determine its usefulness for intelligence. and then the oversight and development. So this oversight and development is a specialty, areas providing the leadership, management, direction, and are the development uh, and the advocacy, so that the individuals and organizations may effectively conduct cybersecurity work. And finally, the seventh one is your securely provision. Securely provision. So this securely provision is a specialty area which is responsible for conceptualizing, designing, and building secure information technology systems, that is responsible for some aspects of your system development. So these are the workforce framework for the cyber security. What are those? The first one is operate and maintain. Second one is protect and defend. Then investigate. Then collect and operate. Then analyze it. Then oversight and development. And finally the securely the provisions. So these are the National Cybersecurity Workforce framework, having the 7 steps here, right? So there are some professional organizations are there, which the creating the more experts, like online cybersecurity communities. So the cybersecurity specialists must collaborate with professional colleagues frequently. So international technology organizations often sponsor workshops and conferences. So these organizations often keep cybersecurity professionals inspired and motivated. So let us see, the first one is your SET. SERT is one organization. SERT. So this, that is the Computer Emergency Response Team. SERT, Computer Emergency Response Team, is a US federally funded initiative, chartered to work with the internet community in detecting and resolving computer security incidents. So the SCRT, that is set, the coordination center called SCRT CERT Coordination Center, that coordinates the communication among experts during security emergencies to help prevent future incidents. So this CERT also responds to major security incidents and analyze the product vulnerabilities. So CERT manages changes relating to progressive intruder techniques and to the difficulty of detecting attacks and catching attackers. So it also develops and promotes the use of appropriate technology and systems management, that practicing to the resist attacks on networked systems, to limit damage and to ensure continuity of services. This is one organization, or the International Technology Organization. Another one is you find SANS, that is the sys admin audit network security. SANS. For S stands for sysadmin, A stands for audit, N stands for network, S stands for security. So that is the SANS Institute resources are largely free upon request and include the popular Internet Storm Center. So the Internet's early warning system, that is News Bytes, the weekly news digest, At Risk, the weekly vulnerability digest, flash security alerts, and more than 1200 award winning originally the research papers, right? So the SANS also develops this security courses also. This is another professional organization. And the another organization is the MITRE, that MITRE. That is the MITRE Corporation maintains a list of common vulnerabilities and exposures, that is your CVE, which we use, the Common Vulnerability Database Evidence. So that is used by the prominent security organization. So you can find there the links also. The another one is we are having the first, that is the forum of your incident response and security teams, is a security organization that brings together a variety of computer security incident response teams from government, commercials, and educational organizations to foster the corporate and coordination in the information sharing, incidents prevention, and the rapid task force. So like that, the other one is the Infosys, your ISC, that is the International Information System Security Certification Consortium. And you are having another one is the multi-state. So the MSISAC, that multi-state uh, is the focal point for the cyber threat prevention, protection, and response and recovery from the nation's states. So these are some cybersecurity specialist collaborations with professional colleagues frequently, right? So these organizations often keep security professionals inspired and they motivated. Okay, so then you can see the cybersecurity student organizations and the companies also here. The cybersecurity specialist must have the same skills as hackers, right? So the cybersecurity student organizations and the competitions in this, as we said, the cybersecurity specialist should have the same skills as your hackers. So especially like black hat hackers. So in order to protect against the attacks, you have to be prepared yourself like your black hat hackers. So how can an individual build and practice the skills necessary to become a cybersecurity specialist? That means your student skills. So the student skills competitions are a great way to build the cybersecurity knowledge, skills, and abilities. So there are many national cybersecurity skills, competitions available in the cybersecurity student part. So one is, you are having the, I mean, the cyber patriot is there. So this is one. So what is this cyber patriot means? The cyber patriot is the national youth cyber education program, which is created by the air and the space of forces associated with this. So this is one of the student skills. I mean, the competitions for developing your skill knowledge. And another one is, you are having the skills USA is another, uh, uh, I mean the website, I mean the national cybersecurity skill competition. One another one is USCC, another one is your NSC. So these are the the student organizations and their competitions to develop their skills. I hope these will be helpful for you. Okay, and then there are some industrial cybersecurity certifications are there, that industry certifications. One is your camp TIA security, that security plus is a camp TIA sponsored testing program that certifies the competencies of your IT administrators in information assurance. Another one is your EC Council certified ethical hackers is another one is, and so this is the intermediate level certification asserts that cybersecurity specialist holding these credentials that possess the skills and knowledge for various hacking practice. And so these cybersecurity specialists use the same skills and techniques used by the cyber criminals to identify system vulnerabilities and access point into the system. And another certification is, you find the SANS GIA Security Essentials. So this SANS GIAC program offers a number of additional certifications in the field of security administration, forensics, and the auditing one. And another, security program that you will find the ISC Square Certified Information Systems Security Professional, that is CISSP. So it also, the formally provided, approved by the US Department of your, defense, and is a globally recognized industry certification in the security field. And another one is the Ishaka Certified Information Security Management, and to become a cybersecurity specialist, this is another certification program. Okay, and there are some company-sponsored certifications are there, but I don't want to go details into that one. So then the how to become your the cybersecurity expert means, the cyber heroes also analyze the policy, trends, and the intelligence to understand how cyber criminals think. So many times this may involve a large amount of your detective work. But first, to become the a cybersecurity specialist, first you need to study. That means learn the basics by completing the course, and then pursue the certification, that is industry and company sponsored certification programs, then pursue the internships, and then join the professional organizations to become a cybersecurity specialist. So with this, what we learn in this chapter means, this chapter explains the structure of the cybersecurity world and the reason it comes to grow with the data and the information as the prized country. Then we explored the motivation of cyber criminals. We also explored the spread of threats due to the ever expanding technical transformations, and we also explored the details on how to become a cybersecurity specialist to help and defeat the cyber criminals. And then we have seen some of the cyber, how to become a cybersecurity experts. What are the different resources available to help create more cybersecurity experts for student, the organizations and their competitions. And we also explored the cyber professionals must have the same skills as your cyber criminals. So, and we have seen some of the concepts like the further. If you would like to further explore the concepts in this chapter, please check out the additional resources and activities page in the student resource which I am going to upload on the data part. Okay, so with this, I would like to stop this session. Thanks for the day.